That's right, everybody. It's me. Welcome back to another episode of We Need to Talk About This. I'm your host, Chuck Oliveris. It's been 2 weeks. Our first podcast came to you just a little bit about 2 weeks ago, I guess, after the move out here to North Carolina, White Oak, what we're calling the Oliveris Ranch or whatever here. But we're having a great time. It's a little over a month now that we've made the move from California up there in Three Rivers, missing all our friends and just the way our life was there. And of course, anytime you move and go to a new place, you change, everything else changes, and you adapt to it, or you don't adapt and you hate it and you want to leave. That certainly is not the case here. It's very beautiful here. We love our community. There's lots to do, all kinds of things to check out. And living on 43 acres back in the woods away from the rest of the world, heaven. So that part is great. How are you guys doing? The world is still crazy, right? Every day. In fact, I was just thinking today, I'm having a lot of thoughts, and it's like, I like social media to a point, but of course, with everything going on with this administration and stuff, everything you scroll through, it's like always the same faces: Pam Bondi, Caroline Levitt, Trump, Pete Hegseth, or whatever his name is. And it's every day, every second, every few things. So I finally have trained myself a little bit to kind of just go past it and go on to something that either makes me laugh or touches my heart. There are some good videos out there, and sometimes I pass them on if they're something that's really, really interesting. I was thinking about today, my old career. Part of my old career was as a director of security for a retail mall in the Central Valley of California for like 12 years. And when I left there, I went over to an outlet center the next town over and did that for 2 years as a director there. But mainly the first mall I worked at for the 12 years. I think about this all the time because we lived in that town for 12 years. So I got to know a lot of the little shithead kids, or mall rats, as you would, that worked there, along with the rest of my officers and my best friend, Austin Blackwell, who worked as a sergeant there for me. But just like the homeless people, you get to know these people's names. And I just think I see a lot of the kids now that I used to chase through that mall. A lot of them were battling drug addiction with methamphetamine and just all kinds of shit. I mean, they're teenagers, they're out there, they're doing what they're doing, and they're experiencing it. And some of them are getting locked into it for a long time, and some of it's ruining their life, and some of them aren't. So my point of this whole story is you get to care for some of them, even though they are a pain in your ass at the time. I am very full of joy when I see some of the kids now, or when they see me. Some of them find me on Facebook. There's a couple of kids for the long haul that I think I knew from day one when I started there, because they were in trouble all the time and not always on my best side. But in the end, I love these kids, and I'm so proud to see them doing well, beating their addictions, holding it down, becoming parents. It's funny because when I got out of that years later and I went up to bartending, and I went up to bartend in Three Rivers, where we ended up staying up there in that little town for 14 years. I bartended, I don't know, 2 years or something like that up there. But some of those kids are old enough to drink now, and they would come in there and they would be like, "Hey, you were that security guy at the mall." And I'd be like, "Yeah, was I mean to you? Did I arrest you?" Because there was a lot of shit like that. But there's just so many of these kids, a small circle of them that I grew close to and was rooting for. And so it's just great when you've done something like that. Typically you will hate those kids and you will not give a shit what happens to them. But there's a few of them I did. There was Thomas and Matt and Skylar. There was Chase, Shelby. There were so many kids that came through that mall that were a hot mess. And like I said, either battling an addiction and stealing all the time and getting arrested and going in and out of juvenile hall. And then some of them later prison. So I'm just so happy. And I want to acknowledge those kids like Thomas and Matt, who I'm still friends with. And I see them and I follow them, and they keep in communication with me. And it's just wonderful to see them getting ahead in the world and not getting lost in the bullshit. So as you get old, you start thinking about your past and things you've done and people you've hung out with and jobs you did and what you did on those jobs and stuff. So just something that runs through my mind. And every time I see one of the kids or they contact me, always makes me feel pretty good because they're doing good. So you got to have compassion in that business. It's like in law enforcement or anything else. You got to have compassion, but you can still be tough, but have compassion. Something that we don't see a lot right now. So I just wanted to share that with you. It's very fulfilling when I run into them or they contact me. Hey, so I was thinking to myself, it'd be kind of fun to just kind of see what people say when you ask them. I guess they did a study. I was reading something. They did a study and they were asking people where the strangest place they had ever had sex was. So in general here, let me see if I can find it. Did I save it? They had a couple of them. So it says they asked people questions, various surveys, shared stories, some of the most commonly reported places that people have had sex. So I thought it'd be fun to share these with you. So obviously some of these what do you call it? You'll resonate with them because, you know, we've all done things as adults and as teenagers. Across the surveys, vehicles was one of the number one places. It says people often mentioned cars parked or less safely moving. The moving one, okay, I know about that one. The back of a truck, on a motorcycle, or even in a moving cab. Okay, a cab. Remember the old, what was it, Taxi Cabs Confessions on Showtime or HBO or something like that? Where they would film everybody who got in the cab all night in New York or LA or wherever they were. That was interesting, right? And I think there were a couple of times there were almost some sex going on some of those episodes. So vehicles was number one there. And then it says public restrooms is another one. Airport, family bathrooms, mall restrooms. I can attest to that. And those restrooms in bars. Libraries are frequently cited for impromptu sexual activity. Nature and outdoors, locations, they say like the woods. I'm in the woods. Okay. I might have to think about that. So in the woods, under a waterfall, in a snow fort. Okay, who has a snow fort? That must be for like people living in Alaska or something. So a snow fort is one of them. Okay. On a cliff edge. Okay. First of all, no, on the cliff edge, because how many of the things do you see where they're like, this is the last time you saw this guy. He was trying to take this picture on the edge of the cliff. No. So I wouldn't mess around with the cliff. Or in a park, are very popular in the park, often involving an element of risk or scenic beauty. Well, the element of risk goes along with the sexual thing, doesn't it? Because sometimes there's something exciting being like, ooh, we might get caught. And I'm not at all an exhibitionist, but there are people that are. So I know those couples that get off on that kind of thing. So that's not surprising to me. More unusual and audacious locations reported in various forms and articles have included aboard transit or attractions. Specific mentions include an airplane bathroom, the Mile High Club. We're all familiar with that. On a train, in a moving roller coaster, and on a giant Ferris wheel. On a moving roller coaster, I don't know. I don't think I'm that stupid, but that sounds dangerous to me. Public and historic landmarks. This includes individuals that have shared stories about having sex at the top of things like the Eiffel Tower. One guy said stories include having sex in sections of the H&M stores, a Walmart counter, Barnes & Noble bathroom, and an antique shop. Antique shop? What are you doing having sex in an antique shop? That's kind of weird to me. Unconventional spots. Other memorable answers have involved a chicken coop, a bulldozer scoop, an abandoned hospital, an oil rig, or even in front of the security camera in a church parking lot. That is blasphemy. That is wrong. Do not do it in a church parking lot. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you? Yeah, so I thought those were funny and interesting. We got a few more that we pulled off, and I wanted to share with you. Here's a couple of the other ones, and this is online. I think Reddit or somebody had a list of these things. So here you got one where the guy says Dave and Buster's, Dave and Bus parking lot. Yeah, Dave and Buster's. God, I can't even say it. Dave and Buster's. Been there several times. This guy says we did it in the parking lot, and then they made a comment. I made sure to park in the same spot every time. I don't know if that's really a smart thing to do. In the same spot, you might want to switch it up. Next comment here, somebody said they did it in a canoe, and they said, yes, I'm Canadian. You got one here that says, in an insane asylum. Bro, you had sex in an insane asylum. What is that all about? So the question begs, were you insane? Were you in the asylum? And were you really having sex, or were you just insane? That's so weird. Insane asylum's weird to me. And this little smart ass puts a comment and says, in bed. Yeah, thanks for that there, Charlie. Civil War Cemetery. What? These people take their Civil War reenactments pretty seriously, so I guess that is not so surprising, but that's kind of weird too, right? Other weird places people have had sex a few times in the woods. We talked about that in the last one. The interesting part of that, it seemed to attract deer who would stand there and watch, fascinated. Really? I'm around deer all the time. They don't stop and stare at me and act fascinated. Maybe it's because I'm not having sex. That's weird, though. Imagine that. You're doing it with your old lady, and all of a sudden this deer is just staring at you all fascinated. Deer in the headlights look right. And then it says, my dead grandmother's house. Some guy said, my dead grandmother's house after she died also went down on a girl in a jacuzzi, submerged. It was weird, but she returned the favor between breaths. Okay. I know. Another guy just put her place. I'm not very crazy. Okay. Then don't even react to the survey because that wasn't even worth it. Okay. Give me something good. We want to read these and know about them because they're funny places. It says, once my friend group decided to skinny dip and play truth or dare. The girls wanted to see how far us guys would go, so they kept daring us to do shit like make out, touch each other's dicks, etc. Okay. For me personally, I made out with another guy, and one of the guys kissed my dick. I'd say that's pretty far to go for all of us, and we're all straight. No, you're not. No, you're not, dude. If you're kissing dicks, you are definitely not straight. Take it from me. That's hilarious. How embarrassing to even put that up there. Let's see, is his name on it? No. That's hilarious. Another guy says here, the girls fucking cracked the truth or dare code, man. Doing very gay stuff for very hetero reasons. And then some dude at the bottom puts his comment and says, I gave a guy a hand job. Okay, again, that's like something maybe just keep that to yourself. Yeah, because you're stupid to be sharing that. People are weird, right? And they're stupid. What was it George Carlin used to say? Take a little pat around every day, and whenever you hear somebody you think is okay, make a little note, another good person, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, another dumb shit. He's a stupid. This guy says, this isn't my story, but I had a friend whose frat house hazing was to watch gay porn with the rest of the freshmen. The first one to have an erection was declared the gayest. This was years back, guys. After every scene, if none of them had a hard-on, they took a shot. Apparently, they watched 2 movies and everybody's passed out on the third one. What the hell? This guy says, I feel like the more you drink, the less likely it is to try and get a boner. That depends on who you are, actually. There is some medical stuff to that, my friend. Yeah, interesting stuff right there. And then, of course, on Ranker, they were putting up things about people describing the worst betrayals from their siblings. I thought this would be interesting. So we need to talk about this because all of us have siblings. Most of us have siblings, unless you're an only child. I have 9 siblings. I don't know how many actually still consider me their brother, but I don't talk to all of them. There's always things in a family. When you have a large family, especially, there's drama and there's dynamics. I kind of talked about it before. So these were things that other siblings did to other siblings that maybe weren't so nice. Listen to some of these. They will crack you up. Listen to this. Okay, here's a good one. My brother planted a hard drug substance in my car, packaged for sale, 5-year mandatory prison sentence, and called the police saying there was a dog locked in a car in front of his house with no water and the windows weren't open. Luckily, I pulled up at the same time the cops showed up, and my dog was fine. The sunroof was open. He had full bowls of food and water. So imagine your brother planting a hard drug substance. And now you got to really not like your brother. That's not even like joking or playing around, because if you have contraband, right, you're automatically going to jail and it's your vehicle. So I think that's really like pushing it for a joke. This sibling betrayed their lifelong friendship. Says here, this is my half brother who's been my best friend my entire life. He decided to take his dad's side after his dad fucked me out of my life savings because he benefited from it. I had the worst panic attack episode of my life when I found out. I thought I was dying. This just happened last year, and we were all in our 30s. Now I'm pregnant with my first kid, and he will never know his uncle, which breaks my heart, and I'll never see my life savings again. My family is shit. Yeah, been there and done that, right? I think all of us have. You have to think to yourself, how can a sibling be so rotten to another sibling? But, it can be done. This one's kind of mean, and girls getting, this is fighting words for girls and sisters right here. This sibling took their planned baby names. Says, my wife and I had been trying to have kids for years. Meanwhile, my sister, Fertile Myrtle, popping out first 2 without even trying. My wife and I conceived twins. We were so excited. We told the family the names we're going to use, etc., and we ended up losing them. My sister doctor shopped around until she found someone that would diagnose her with infertility and got prescribed medication that would make it significantly more likely to have twins. She used the names that we had planned to use, and it took over 10 years before we spoke again. Ooh. Hey. That's just some shoddy shit, right? And girls don't be playing. Girls scratch your eyes out. You mess with the girls. Let's see. This sister sabotaged their job. It says, my sister phoned every new employer I had over the years and said bad stuff about me. She would invite me over to dinner to find out who my boss was. Then weeks later, she would invite me over and ask how it's going at work. Okay. This right here, I can totally relate to. I'm not going to say too much about it, but there's always someone that is talking smack about you within your family circle, and it never stops and it never ends. And just when you think it's going to, and you can maybe be civil again, it immediately rears its ugly head again and stuff. That right there kind of reminds me of an experience I've had more than once. So it's interesting because, again, this is a sibling thing, and everybody has one. At least most of us have one or two. This is interesting, you guys. Look at this. So it was creepy stuff. There was another thing on Rank, and I was looking up some of the creepiest things that have ever happened to people and stuff. In this particular one, it says there was this guy called the Butcher on my street growing up. They called him that because he was a butcher, obviously. Family had at least a screw loose, though. I was semi-friends with his oldest kid. On Halloween, I'd go up to his house. I was like 11 or 12. They had these large speaker-looking things up on each post of their little wood fence that run up the side of the driveway. At the top of each one of them was what looked like pig and cow heads with blood dripping down the spikes. I got up there. Hey, man, those things look so real, I said to the son. And he responds with, they are. Want to come in the garage and I'll show you some of the other cool dead stuff we got? So, yeah, there was a couple that used to have it's creepy, right? Real pig's head with blood and stuff. I get one to be really authentic on Halloween, but you're pushing it there a little bit, bro. In fact, that kid, the FBI should be staked outside his house watching to see what the hell he's going to do in the next couple nights, right? Here's another creepy one. This guy, it's a nurse, says nurse here, and the only place I've ever seen lights flicker is just outside the morgue. They are fine almost all the time, but when we bring in a body and come down with it, the lights always flicker and it really creeps me out. Yeah, that's creepy.
Daddy, chill.
Don't tell me to chill. That's creepy.
Daddy, chill.
The daddy chill thing, do you guys remember this? The kid that was talking to his dad and it went viral and stuff. I found that little soundbite today and it cracks me up every time I hear it. And I had not been clued in to the whole thing about that until I saw it. And then when I did, I had to listen very carefully and I was like,
Daddy, chill.
Hilarious. Yeah, the morgue thing is interesting. Remember I told a story on one of my podcasts about my friend Brian Blunt, whose family owned a mortuary in Oakland, and we spent the night there and a bunch of stuff, and it was really creepy. So here's another one. We had a deceased clown one time. This person was buried in full clown costume with makeup and all. The whole family was clowns. All the friends were clowns. And at the family's request, the funeral directors were clowns too. They supplied costume and did our makeup. Family and friends had one teardrop painted on near the eye. Definitely my strangest ever. That would be creepy, right? Because a lot of people are freaked out about clowns, let alone it and all that. I thought that was really weird. I mean, when you kind of freak out, if all of a sudden you just got like clowns all over at the funeral parlor and stuff, I just think it's really, really weird. What's this one? Oh no, I already went to that. Here's a good one. Identical twin shows up in the same outfit as the deceased brother. Sometimes, this guy says, when I would come to work with my mom and help her set up the chapel for a service, one service in particular was of a little boy who had drowned. His parents dressed his identical twin brother in the same outfit as him. Grief does shit to you. Well, so that'd be kind of creepy, right? If you're going to this funeral and then the little kid in the coffin is a twin, he's in the same outfit that the kid that's still alive walks in, and I just, the whole thing would be kind of weird. So I get that that's kind of creepy, right? Don't you? I think that's weird. Body sits up all by itself. You hear about this all the time. People that work in mortuaries and are in hearses and stuff. It says, my neighbor a while back before I moved was a mortician. He didn't have any creepy stories per se, but one that sticks out concerned this one night that he had a body. He was preparing for an early morning wake or service, whatever was going on. It was unusual and it was requiring him to work into the wee hours of the morning on this particular corpse. So as he was working on it, he turned his back to grab some tools or supplies, and the angle he was standing at with regard to the corpse left the body visible just out of the corner of his eye. As he was looking down at whatever tools he was getting, in the corner of his eye, he saw the body slowly start to sit up. His fight-flight instinct immediately kicked in, and he ran to the stairs as fast as he could. But he was so clumsy trying to get up the stairs, he tripped and was pretty much crawling and clawing his way to the top. He was just near the top before his senses finally came back, and he knew it was rigor mortis. He collected himself, started to laugh at it, and about how absurd it was. He'd been doing this for 15 to 20 years at that point and had never had a freak out like this before, where instinct overtook knowledge and experience. He actually sheepishly admitted he had to go clean himself because he had just shit his pants in panic. Well, yeah. I would too. So I would have ran and I would have never went back down there. Hey, I'd have been like, this guy needs to embalm himself, okay? Because I'm not doing it. He's moving in shit, and that's just way, way too creepy. Yeah, body sits up by itself. I'm sure you've heard that before. I've heard other people say it too. This one is creepier than hell. And you can probably relate to this because a lot of people looking for apartments and stuff have had some weird experiences. So on this one here, let's just check this. I'm going to read this to you and it's going to trip you out. So it says, I see a too good to be true apartment listing on Craigslist one morning, and I immediately called the owner. The owner's a talker. He says he has 12,000 square feet facility just out of town. Come and meet him. I grabbed my boss and we drove out to the address he gave me. Pulling up the driveway, all we see is a garage, nothing else. I say to my boss, we're going to be skin suits here in a minute. Let's just leave. But then the guy came out and waved, and my boss just laughed at me and said, we should go meet him. We go in. He's talking about the large heated double garage and how I can park in there. And then he says, come see the apartment. We go into a small closet-esque room. He closes the door and begins to open up a door in the floor. A door in the floor. That's creepy, right? Yeah. They didn't rent the apartment, but can you imagine? It's like, I wanted to hear more of the story. Like, I wanted to know, did you guys go down into the floor to see if there was like a living thing in there? Was it a dungeon? I mean, is this guy murder or what? Why does he have a floor in the door, right? Creepy though. So you go to look at an apartment, shows you the garage, and he takes in some closet, closes the door, and opens the door in the frickin' floor. Yeah, I'm not going down there. No one's going down there. And I'm definitely not renting your fucking apartment, okay? I'm just saying. Okay, it's time again for that pop news because there's some interesting stuff going on. I don't know if you guys have, if you've heard this yet, but you all know who Danny Masterson is. Danny Masterson played Hyde on the 70s show. He's an actor who's actually a really good actor. I was a big fan of his. Then he got in some trouble for possibly allegedly raping. Well, I guess not allegedly. He went to jail. So they've got him locked up. And a lot of people, you know who he is. What's interesting now is they're saying that his attorneys have not handled that case properly. And a bunch of stuff was not looked at thoroughly. So currently, Mr. Masterson is filing to try and have that judgment overturned and get out of jail. Now, he's been in there for quite a bit. And like I said, I was a big fan of his. Of course, you might remember him also from The Ranch with Ashton Kutcher and Sam Elliott. Great actor. And I don't know what he did or he didn't do. They were all pretty good friends, the cast of the 70s show, and they all hung out together and stuff. So when that happened to Danny, it was kind of shocking. But it's happened to a lot of people, right? Kevin Spacey, James Franco got in trouble, and he kind of got casted out. But in any case, that's something we'll follow on Pop News just to see what happens with that case and if Danny Masterson gets out of that rap or not. He's been locked up for a little bit now. And I just have to do this because I hate him. This guy right here, this is what I'm talking about. This guy.
Dear Mr. Douchebag, we all agree that you are a dumbass. Why can't you see that?
You're a douchebag. Douchebag.
Yes. There's Pete hates a douchebag. I can't with this guy. I feel like this guy thinks he's acting in a movie. Every time I see him speak, and he's so this and that with his arms, I think he thinks he's even higher and bigger than Trump is. I think he loves himself. I mean, I feel like if he could get his mouth to his groin area every night, he's probably doing that. Can't stand him. And I am really sick and tired of listening to him. And then, of course, seeing his face all the time. The other thing we got for you tonight are some funny memes of the week. And I didn't meme it, but I brought them. So let's go ahead and go through them. Some of these are pretty funny, actually. Been looking forward to sharing them with you. The memes are always one of my favorite parts of the show because I hold them for a while in my phone when I find them, and I try and pick things that maybe you haven't seen before, even though we're so inundated with them in general. So our first meme tonight is right here, and I thought this was a brilliant idea. Look at that. There's a box on the doorstep that says dildos, and she says, sometimes when my friends aren't home, I make boxes and leave them on their doorstep for the whole neighborhood to see. Isn't that a good one? Don't you want to do it? You know there's someone you want to do that to. You know who I want to do it to? All my friends. I think that's so funny, dude. And then I was, I don't know if I found this one on Insta or where, but I read it and I just started rolling in the chair, laughing my ass off. Check this out. Guy and a girl, she's hugging him, says, told him I used to be in an abusive relationship and now he's hugging me like I was the victim. Right? She's like, you have no idea, motherfucker. Right? And breaking news, a little change to the holiday shopping thing with Christmas and everything coming up. Walmart has a new policy, a public service announcement. They wanted to let everyone know, due to the extreme cold weather, they highly recommend that all of our shoppers wear 2 pairs of pajama bottoms when shopping at our stores. And thank you. They barely even wear that when you go to Walmart, right? Oh my God. I know. I'm going to try that 2-pair pajama thing. I don't like to go out in my jams. My jams are for me and my privacy in my own home with my peeps. Not out in Walmart picking out produce and shit or whatever. The one thing, this meme says, the one thing that your dad gave you that you still have. My dad is right behind me in these pictures here. And most of you know that he passed away in February. The one thing that he gave me, obviously, was a love of music and singing and entertainment. My dad was a bit of a showman himself. So were my uncles. It's the reason they had a band and they made a record and traveled all over the place. But so I just wanted to acknowledge my father because the year's almost up. It's December already. And I still have trouble accepting him and my mom are gone. Lost them both this year, so it's just it's hard to think about that. But when I saw that meme, it made me think of my dad because he definitely made me listen to every kind of music there was, and I went and did so many musical things with him during his career with the band and all that kind of good stuff. So that was a nice one to read and stuff. Thought this meme was interesting. It says, life lessons by a monk. Number 1, nothing in life truly belongs to you. Not people, not things, not even your thoughts. Okay. Number 2, pain is a teacher dressed as an enemy. Bow to it, and it reveals its lesson. That's very monkey. It's very monkey, right? Hey, with a monkey. Number 3, you suffer more from your imagination than from reality. Okay. There's a lot of friends of mine that do this. A lot of people close to me and probably myself as well, maybe all of us. But you definitely suffer from your own imagination and overthinking things, and it takes you out of the reality of what's really happening, which 9 times out of 10 is not what you think. Number 4, the monk says the goal of meditation isn't to escape life, but to see it clearly. Thank you. Number 5, when you stop needing to prove yourself, you start to understand yourself. That makes a lot of sense. Good words there from Mr. Monk. Thank you, Monk. The world is nosy because everyone's shouting for attention. Peace begins when you stop. I like that one right there. Because, everybody thinks they're a freaking movie star. Everybody wants attention. Everybody wants to do this and do that. So yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense that, people are nosy and want to be so, annoying. Number 7 on the last one from the monk says, you can't control the waves of life, but you can learn to surf them calmly. Ooh, that's so awesome. I think it's good stuff. I do. One of the other memes I've shared with people before, but I want to share it again because it cracks me up, especially with the success and my obsession with the new series, Welcome to Derry, part of the It series for Stephen King and stuff. And as you know, in the series and the new one, now that it's back, Bill Skarsgård, who plays the It clown in the movies, is in this series. And it's him doing his part as the clown and stuff. This meme cracks me up, though, because, of course, most of you should know Bill Skarsgård has brothers and a father. They were all actors, and they're all kind of close and kind of tease each other all the time. In this particular meme, which isn't really a meme, it shows a picture of Bill and his brother, Alexander Skarsgård, wearing the Pennywise mask and flipping off his brother Bill, who's playing the guitar, who actually is the guy who plays the clown in the movie. And I think that's just, look at his face. Fuck you, little brother. Little brother's like, no, fuck you. I'm making millions. Right? I know, it cracked me up. This is my favorite one of all time this week. My favorite meme, because with everything going on with the stupid administration and everything, and then, of course, we have the Epstein files, which still have not been released. And even when they do, we already know there's not going to be anything there because it's already been removed and tampered and whatever. It's just stupid. Everything's a lie. Everything's full of shit. Everything that comes out makes no sense. It makes no sense. You know, lies, lies, lies. And then there's a whole bunch of people going, no, that's the way it is. Whatever. But this one cracked me up because it's J.D. Vance and it's Donald Trump. And because they're under all the heat for the Epstein thing and stuff like that. Look at this one. This one will crack you up. He leans in and tells Vance, I need you to say you stole my face in the 90s. Not far from reality, you guys. I'm just saying. Not far from reality. And this was just a quick shot of a close-up of a turkey Trump pardoned, which I thought was very nice. Nice-looking turkey, right? I would have loved to have had one of those on Thanksgiving, sitting on my table or something. I think it would have been hilarious. What do we got here? Oh, this is interesting, you guys. Listen to this. Kind of play on the eel thing. We all know what an eel is, right? So this meme pops up on my phone and I find it and I save it for you. So here it is, the moray eel. The moray eel. Okay, so it says here, when an eel has a maw with a pharyngeal jaw, I can't even say it, that's a moray. When the jaw is open wide and there's more jaws inside, that's a moray. When it sucks in a reef and has two sets of teeth, that's a moray. But when an eel bites your thigh and you bleed out and die, that's a moray. I could have executed that one better, but I didn't have my Dean Martin ready to go enough there. I should have practiced it and stuff. Hey, you know, I am a Swiftie, and I'm proud to say it. I don't care. I know there's a lot of people that hate Taylor Swift, but I just want to share this one meme with you because it's funny as hell. Even though I love her and I will never hurt her or make fun of her, I love you, Taylor. No, I'm just kidding. This was funny, though. So with all the stuff talking about her and Travis Kelce and all that good stuff, this one was funny, okay? And here they are. They're like outside somewhere, and she's yelling at him. Your sister-in-law texted, "Fuck you, go birds," to me last night, Travis. And she looks a little pissed, don't you? Travis, I don't know, man. I don't know what my sister did. I have nothing to do with what my sister does. One last creepy thing I wanted to share with you because it is kind of creepy. Look at this one. This one says, creepiest thing they witnessed on the job, and it's a death grip. And this was on Ranker, and it says, once we had a donor who was very freshly deceased. I held his hand to shave his arm, and his fingers curled around my hand tightly. Again, it's a rigor mortis thing, kind of like the body sitting up and stuff. But can you imagine, like, I don't know, I feel like if you do that kind of work, you're chancing it anyway that something crazy and creepy is going to happen to you at some point. I don't know. That's just what I think. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. I wanted to share one last thing with you because I was thinking about my dear friend Cheyenne Savoy back in Three Rivers. I miss the hell out of her. Been knowing her for years, and I was just thinking about her. She ran through my head today because I found a picture of her. Here she is here with me. They're shy. The funny thing about my friend here that I want you to know is she's one of these girls that when you invite her, she'll text you and send you OMW, on my way. But for Cheyenne, OMW could mean anything. 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, but she's still on her way. So you just got to know that going in. She knows it's true. She knows it's true. She won't even try and deny it. It cracks me up. Her fiance Dustin knows it too. I got proof. Cheyenne is on her way. It'll be like a year later, and I'm like, no, she's on her way. She'll be here. Oh, she's here. She's here right now. I wish she was. That would be so fun. So I want to do another podcast outside on the deck with the woods behind me so you can see the beautifulness of our little area here in the ranch and stuff. And we'll try and do that soon. We're getting a little rain right now. It's coming in pretty hard for the next couple of days. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll talk about some good stuff I got planned for that one. And also hopefully be able to do it outside in the nature with the nature and all that stuff. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Nothing big this week, just trying to ease off of all of our stuff we think about every day and try and laugh at something. And, it's the only way to get through sometimes. So episode 50. Wow, already. We need to talk about this, and we have more to talk about. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye, everybody. Cheyenne, are you on your way?